We have liftoff. Welcome back to Now TV Canada at I Am Just Jen YouTube channel. I am Just Jen. And I'm not talking about You've Got Mail 2, another story with Joe Fox and Kathleen Kelly, and the weird email I got from Canada Post in Ottawa today anymore. I've made my 2 videos. I've said my piece. We're going to go back to talking about Tom Welling. So without further ado, let's talk about Tom Welling some more. So I'm going to start with reading the mystery box. So this is it. Can I keep it? And then I'll explain that after I've read it to everyone. What has brought me to where I am now and all that I'm doing. It's basically based on this pilot for what I would like to call a baker's dozen. So it's Charlie Baker's life as a father, a husband story. And this is just a smidgen of what goes on between my character and his character. And so the top part, this was originally entered into a writing contest, which is vocal.media, where my page is. I have almost 300 things there. I've had no time to write more, or I would have 300 pieces up there. But that's the top part. It says the use of the right hand is used in reference to a verse in the Bible in Ecclesiastes, where it says, a wise man's heart is to his right, but a fool's is to his left. So they both chalked their experiences up to using the wrong hand in which to find the love they were in search of. As for that saying we all know so well, where the third time is the charm, well, sometimes they're not right. Maybe it takes 4 times to get it right every once in a while. So in this story, hang on a second, I'm looking for the container. In a story, there's the issue that Charlie Baker's characters had a really bad run of life in relationships. So maybe he's dated like 20 different women he's kissed around, and he's had some stupors in dive holes and done stuff, and his dad's lost count and doesn't really want to know. Instead of the original concept of like it's one wife for life, based on reality, I couldn't do that anymore from the young girl I was when I had first aspired to work with him and play Mrs. Charlie Baker and be the other Mrs. Baker with a book on tour. And so when I had to write for the contest, I ended up realizing the pilot is this story here. Now, the mystery box itself is not actually that big, but that's the basis of what happens in this story. But the actual mystery box that sort of triggered this fits something this size in the box. Okay, so the story goes, what's in the box? Charlie said. I don't know, I replied. He continued, well then, what are you waiting for? Why don't you open it? Of course, I had a witty, quick, and obvious answer. Well, if I did that, then it wouldn't be a mystery box anymore. I would know what is in it, and then I'd have to do something about it after seeing what it is. He replied, well, what's wrong with that? Tilting my head just ever so much, I looked at Charlie with that exaggerated look on my face that told him the answer to that should be obvious before I spoke. Because, Charlie, what if I don't like it? What if I don't like what's inside this mystery box? Right now, at this very moment, I'm feeling good. I'm happy and excited. And I'm thinking and feeling that somebody somewhere loves me and is thinking about me and decided to send me this. But what if I'm wrong? Charlie bravely continued his side of the conversation. Well, how are you supposed to know if you write about someone somewhere thinking about you and sending you this box with something inside it that shows you how much they care about you, if you don't open it, the longer you wait, the longer you keep yourself in suspense. The worse you are making things based on your imagination and hypothesis of what's in the box. If it isn't something good for you to like, why on earth would you want to put yourself through all that discomfort and strain on your heart and emotions? Wouldn't it be much better to just know what is in it and be free of the anxiety and be able to move forward from there on what to do next? And besides, I'm dying to know what's in the mystery box too. What if what's in the box is not just for or about you? He ended with. Well, how about I start with the fact that I'm the only person that lives here at the address this mystery box was delivered to. And there is nothing written on the box at all. It's just a plain white box. So again, this tells us that it had to be personally delivered, meaning the person who delivered it knows that I live here and was confident, certain that I would be the one to get it. And if it was something they wanted me to know about that was urgent for me to know, then some sort of hint or obvious sign or answer would have been written on it or left with the box, letting me know to open it right away. Scratching his head, Charlie continues with, it seems I am losing this conversation with your thoughts and theories about the white mystery box delivered to you. Badly. I'd better rethink my battle with you and the box and find a new, improved, and better angle to appeal to you with about this item of business. Of course, with me and my big mouth, I can never turn down a challenge, so I piped up with, all right, go ahead. Give it your best shot. Let's see what you come up with. Charlie did not shy away from my reply or the challenge before him. Instead, he took a different angle and started asking questions that would require action to answer. How heavy is the white mystery box? Why don't we examine it and look deeper into the things we can do with the white box just the way it is? I fell for it, of course, and I picked up the box and started weighing it in the air against the gravity and found myself immediately puzzled. Well, I'm not exactly sure how to explain what I'm feeling while holding it. It's not really as heavy a box the size would suggest it would be when you hold it, but it's also not as light as a feather or thread either. That's when I really wanted to know the answers about the mystery box. I was dying to know, really, right from the time I saw it sitting outside my apartment door when I first got home and found it. All right, then. What if you held the box and moved it side to side with a little velocity? What might you experience or discover about the box if you did that? My boyfriend said to me. I could not stop now. I had to know the answer to this too, so I did it. I held the mid-sized white box out front of me and with both my hands moved it back and forth, side to side, and began to feel and listen for any answers or clues about this mystery box and what it had in it for me to discover. So what is the box telling you when you do that? My boyfriend asked me. I'm not sure. I think I can hear something like some kind of movement, but not a large or clunky movement, just that there might be some more layers to this mystery box than what meets the eye when you look at it. I can't tell how much it weighs or how many other items or layers may be in the box, but I'm pretty sure it isn't one large item stuffing the box completely all on its own. But now I'm wondering if it was even meant to be a gift at all. Maybe it was just something I forgot somewhere when visiting someone or something related to my work. If you think it's a layered gift, is it possible that may then be safe to open up the biggest part of this white mystery box without it spoiling what may be inside? Do you trust me? As your boyfriend, do you think I would lead you astray and try to deliberately ruin a possibly good surprise for you on purpose? Oh, Charlie, you're good. You're oh so very good. Don't you think you are ever so smart? Of course, I wouldn't be with you if I knew you were that type of guy to sabotage something good for me. But you already know that. So now you are leaving me holding this box and what I have ascertained from its weight and moving it and what to do with these questions you've now laid out so perfectly for me to stew over to make my next decision from and move on. And that's when he did it, sneaky mystery man of mine. Can you put the box down now and sleep on it? I shook my head while saying no, because it had already gone unopened for so many hours and I was still holding it and couldn't make another move until I knew for certain what I wanted to do next. Charlie knew I was struggling. He could see that look on my face and me holding the box. Come on, darling. You know you want to do it. You know you want to know what's next to discover about your great white mystery box. After hearing him say those words, I couldn't do it. Go any longer without finding out the answer to what it was I felt and heard from holding and moving the white mystery box. So I took a deep breath of excitement, put the box back down on the kitchen island, and did what naturally came next for me to do. And I looked for where the opening was on the box. And when I found it, I broke the little tape that had kept it sealed and carefully, with one smooth swing and movement, opened the white mystery box and looked inside it, only to break out in a hearty laughter and more smiling with what I discovered and saw was in it. Carefully placed tissue papers and styrofoam stuffers was in its surrounding what, of course, was another mystery box. This one a smaller size than the first. Immediately, it made me wonder if this was going to be a thing like those wooden matreska, I can't say it, matreska Dutch dolls with smaller dolls inside until they get too small to fit in anymore in. That's when I looked at Charlie again, but this time in a different light, one with an accusatory look on my face. You did this, didn't you? This is from you, isn't it, Charlie? Is this going to be like, Charlie cutting in said, like those wooden matreska Dutch dolls type thing you were going to say, weren't you, honey? I know you very well. I can see it all over your face. And that's what makes us so perfect for one another. When you know things without needing to speak. Something happened today when you were away. I discovered something and I wasn't sure how to break it to you. So in order to get to the point of the answer to the mystery I'm seeking to solve, I thought I'd try and make it a little bit fun between us while getting there. Wait a minute, Charlie. Stop right there. Is that your polite way of saying that you were perhaps worried that I might be upset or mad at you for this thing you discovered when I wasn't around? You do realize our being perfect for one another is definitely an understanding that goes both ways, and I certainly know you very well too. So what's the confession you have to make? Now the suspense is killing me. I looked at the newly discovered smaller sized mystery box and then looked up and over at Charlie in silence, waiting for what comes next from both. Charlie, without wasting another moment of time, quickly and simply said, that answer will come with what you do next with this new mystery box and how we handle what's uncovered between us moving forward on that discovery in our wonderful relationship together. After hearing him say that, I realized there is nothing more I can do, nothing more to be understood. There's no looking back now. This is it. There's only going forward and moving ahead from here. Rain or shine, love or hate, it's a moment just like our first date. And reconnecting after losing touch for so many years since high school. It was in one way, of course, very exciting, and in another way, of course, just as terrifying. Because what if what I'm about to do next does not work out the way it was planned. Well, I said to myself, there is only one way to find out rather than standing here and continuing to think too hard about it all. And that's when I focused back on what was inside the first mystery box and saw the new mystery box now staring me back in the face. And without another hesitation, I took in a great big breath and dug in for the answers and opened the second mystery box. I broke out in more smiles and laughter, but not as bad as the first time when I saw yet again another mystery box. Yes, again, this one a little smaller than the second one. And that's when I turned to Charlie and said, I thought you said it wasn't going to be like like the wooden dolls. Charlie, while smiling and laughing, answered with, it's not the final matter of it all starts from a much bigger place than the smallest wooden doll, which could not have anything else put into it. I promise the conversation coming is worth it. So he's like, it's not as bad as how many there are in the doll. So eventually it'll be worth it. So I looked back into the two boxes now open and began to feel a little safer and easier as I went ahead and opened the newest unopened mystery box, looking back at me so nicely and peacefully. This time what I saw inside, I did recognize. And nothing came to mind for me as the next words to say out loud except the words, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And then I looked back up over at Charlie. He said, can I keep it? Brimming with love and joy and happiness and a glow about his face like I've never quite seen before on him. It reminded me of something much like a young child visiting a 1-cent candy store. Like it was back in the world when we were just little kids, getting a $1 bill and buying 100 1-cent items and filling that brown paper bag just the right size for 100 candies right to the rim. So I knew right then at that moment I was in trouble if I didn't give him the right answer. I think I love him right now more than I have ever loved him. And I think I've always loved him, starting right back in high school when we first met. Well, before that, but we'll get into that later. Anyways, when he finished growing up and came to high school, that was like meeting for the first time again. Will you read what's written on it to me? He asked softly. Speaking to me that way just then turned my heart to butter. How could I not give him everything that he clearly wanted? So I picked up the newest unopened black box with red and pink hearts all over it and opened it up and took out what was in it. I separated the styrofoam, keeping it safe, and then removed the plastic covering. It held the mug in, and in my hands I held the mug and read, to my husband, I wish I could turn back the clock to find you sooner and love you longer. I may not be your first date, your first kiss, or your first love, but I just want to be your last everything. I love you forever and always. I went on to say, this is not how I wanted things to go. I was trying to plan for this, for the perfect moment, so it would be just right. And that's when he said, yeah, me too. What? I replied, confused. Then I looked inside the mug. I didn't find what I had put in that mug originally, so I looked back at him and said, where is it? He said, you mean this mystery box? With the frilly lace bow on top, which he by then had pulled out of his pocket. Don't worry, I didn't look. I knew that moment was needing you. Oh, Charlie, I said as I looked at the one that's in the mug now and asked, is this one for me? Yes, he replied. But I wanted to go first. It is the 21st century, after all. What's wrong with women doing it? Nothing, he said. Then he sighed and said, but everything, because I wanted to do it. so I could keep it traditional for you. But Charlie, haven't you had enough of trying to do it that way? He sighed again and had to admit the truth. Yes. And with that, I put my hand out and he put the mystery box in his hand in mine. And I said, now turn your right hand over and keep it out like that. And I got down on one knee and looked up at the man standing before me while I was holding the perfect box. And I opened it for him to see and said, Charlie Baker, will you marry me? And while he was shaking worse than a girl, he answered with his yes. And I took the ring out of the perfect little mystery ring box and put it on his ring finger, right to the end with all my love. And it fit perfectly. Then he took his hand away and put it out in front of him and studied it with a gasp and admiration, and then spoke the perfect words to my heart, ears, and soul. It's perfect. I love it. I will never take it off as long as I live. As he ended with a sigh of joy that this moment had finally found its way between the two of us. But it wasn't long before he said, okay, now it's your turn. And he told me to take the other perfect little white box inside the mug out. And of course I did. And when he put his hand out for it, I gave it to him. And he did what naturally came next and got down on one knee and proposed right back to me as he took the lid off the final box, revealing what was in it, waiting for this perfect moment just for me. Honey, will you marry me? And as I answered with my yes, 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 Charlie Baker, of course I want to and would love to marry you. That is when those oh so famous tears of love and joy came streaming down my face. But amidst the joy and tears, I didn't forget to answer his question. I simply said, yes, 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 you can keep it. And I never, ever forgot the day or the occasion in which I received the mystery box, as we, of course, went on to live happily ever after. To which he added, not a moment in time since he has gone by that we ever regret. Now, what he was asking for, whether he could keep or not, was the coffee mug. Is it mine? Can I keep it? Because she had bought it before they had met, and before that had become a thing, that moment had come. And so that's why he put it, his in there, because she had hid his in there, hoping, that would stay hidden. That's when the children all got on their feet and jumped up and down screaming, hooray! Then they ran to us with hugs, 1 on 1 and 2 on 2 or more, until all 13 were done, while telling us how much they never ever get tired of listening to that story about how we all became a family and how their dad, standing there holding his prized possession, that after all this time and so many moves is still in perfect condition, became the husband that the coffee mug came to be before leaving the room to go on with doing other things with the rest of their day. The end. Written by Jennifer Cooling. So I wanted to share that today with you guys because I mailed a copy of that with an actual little mystery box. It was white. It was all covered up, taped, because I like to tape things. That's just my nature. To that live event they were at in LA last year, along with the poetry books, the original ones that were meant for around the time of the show when it was still on, to get him to realize that this was not about Smallville, it's not about Superman, that the emergency was about the timeline for Charlie Baker, and that we're behind on making a Baker's Dozen. That in spite of the fact that he had to grow up to play Superman on Smallville because of the size of the career I wanted to have, how big of a writer I wanted to be, Smallville and Superman wasn't actually the goal. That wasn't what I was actually chasing. Yes, though the little girl in the bus shack Hang on. We're going to get there. Was a Lois Lane and a Brainiac and a Superwoman all rolled up in one. It did not change that I was focused on Supergirl because of something that happened in the movie that I had heard said that had triggered me into a response where it's like, I'm going to grow up and write the second one because I want to fix the image about that. I was a super Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeves and Gene Hackman kid, like super, right? So those first pair of glasses were like the world for me. It was everything. And today he's wearing the pair of glasses that look like those pair of glasses. And I've moved on to the Clark glasses. So essentially, we've reached our peak, right? It's where it is and it should be. But the reality was I wanted Charlie Baker. And in my story, this is Charlie Baker. And this is the little girl he met when he was still in elementary school. And he would get up early and come and pick me up, walk me to junior high school on the same street his school was on, asking if he could carry my bags or help me with something, and then leave me at the school and then go to his school. And then he would run from his school to my junior high school and pick me up and take me home. And then, of course, I outgrew junior high as he was coming into junior high and then went into high school. So when I last saw him in junior high, he was still like, a boy. And then high school came and he grew. And then he became the Charlie Baker we all saw and knew in the Cheaper by the Dozen movies. And I became that girl named Blue. I had moved on to my British heritage, English background style of life. And so I became the girl at the cool doors. So now I became, a little intimidating. Wasn't the same innocent girl from the bus shack, but still very beautiful. And this is essentially what he was still in love with in high school. But now he felt like I was out of his league. So we were friends. We talked, hung out. We had our thing. I liked music. I was great at writing. He didn't know much about what I wrote. He didn't go to any of the scenes I was in to hear any of the open mics or live events or anything in this story. And so, of course, at some point, you age out, right? And I left high school and he was still in high school. And I went on to acting school and I went on to do things as an athlete. And as an athlete, I'm a swim instructor. I love to do laps. Really, and I would have loved to have done like working for on the national team. So in the story, we're going to get reconnected after his multiple divorces. Now, in the story, I had decided that maybe he had 3 divorces. So I would be like the 4th girl, and I wasn't stupid enough to get divorced multiple times. So I had 1 divorce and 2 kids and didn't want any more. So the joke of a baker's dozen is about the fact that he had 12 in those relationships. And of course, he's loving this girl all these years that he hasn't seen and wants to fix history, right? That he was intimidated by her when she was blue. And intimidated by her as the girl in the bus shack when she was so perfect. And so this time he wanted to get it right. Whoa, I want to have 1 child with that perfect girl where we share a perfect smile and a perfect moment. And that was the goal for my career, the objection. I was in my 20s having a tough time with my firstborn child as a mom. Couldn't see it in the theater. But my goal when I saw him on the screen was, who's that guy, right? Get his name. I've said this before. So I got his name in the credits. And then my focus was building a career good enough to impress Steve Martin. So I could say, can I play Mrs. Charlie Baker? Can I play your daughter-in-law without having years and years of acting experience and accolades and a huge list of what is the I can't think of the name of it. IDPM, IMDP, whatever. Point is, to have it there in the records online for people to know who I am and what I've done. And so what I've realized is I was over the top. Supergirl movies and You've Got Mail 2 would have been fine. In fact, Steve Martin probably just read the poetry books and You've Got Mail 2 and would say to me, if you just written the one movie that size, Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, Big, and these books of poetry self-published and your honorable mention for the documentary you're trying to make about your family, you're good, right? I would have said, thumbs up. Yeah, you can play my daughter-in-law. You're the perfect one for my son. The whole idea in the movie was that his dad's a coach and that I'm a coach, swim instructor, and supervisor. And I got a promotion to supervisor in the story. And then he's wondering, does that make her more important than you, Dad? But in the movie, he's so happy. He's walking by us going, hey, coach, to both of us. And then when we see each other, we're like, coach. So it really is all perfect. And because of that live event last year and the stuff I sent in the mail, everything's gone wrong. He hasn't received any of it. And they're still doing the podcast, rewatching episodes of Smallville about all the years that Tom was married, Michael was single, and everybody on the show was basically not having sex. But they were making episodes that was all about growing up, falling in love, that has everything to do with marriage and sex, and doing stuff that was very sexualized, which was beyond what a family TV show like that should be doing, not because you weren't old enough to be doing it, but because you were old enough to be doing it. And therefore you have all of this repression, all this oppression, and you have a married man of many years, decades, producing this, directing this, watching the struggle is real for these kids growing up, and he's taking advantage of that and not caring enough as a father figure type of person to moderate what he's doing and help in those things. I won't have anything to do with the podcast. I never call in on any of those Wednesdays. I have sent in emails, but they don't have anybody monitoring the emails. And I don't know why Tom's brain never turned on and said, let's check the emails and see what people are sending us, because they've had the movie script for the Smallville reunion movie in there. I think I've sent it twice. I have no intention of sending it again. But I don't like watching them rewatch the whole TV show, talking about how great it was for them to be making that TV show together when Tom was married once and Michael's never been married. And everybody on the show has hardly ever had any action in between the sheets, because they're talking about how little action they've had and how great it was to make movies while they weren't doing it. So I have a problem with that around Tom. And now he's married again. And again, 10 seasons of watching the show with very little action is a total of 20 years of Michael basically talking about how little action they've had, because as long as he knows Tom is connected with him and touring with him and knows where Tom is, then he knows that Tom isn't getting any. So he's not getting any. So it's the same and it's fair and it's even. And so I don't like Michael Rosenbaum. I am so done with that. It's so immature and it's so not right. Right? It's not my problem. It's not Tom's problem. It's not the fans' problem. If he has never found his way to God, prayer, repentance, if he's never apologized to people he's hurt and the bad things he said and how he treats people, like even his sister was afraid to tell him about the painting that she painted that I bought from her that was not ordered by her, but just that I had seen her work and went, wow, I know who that is. That's Tom's son. Right? And that was previous to the marriage. She could have contacted him because it's okay for her to talk to Tom. She's Michael's sister. It would have been fine. It wouldn't have been strange. Tom wouldn't have turned her away and thought it was weird. But she told me, oh, my brother doesn't do anything if it has nothing to do with helping himself, serving himself. It's not for him. He won't do it. So I'm telling you, he won't tell Tom anything about you buying the painting from me. So it still sits sealed in a box in my Gatineau apartment. And the cakes that I had made for the previous years of his birthday, and the people I contacted to try and give him that around sealing the friendship around Charlie Baker, not Smallville, not Clark, not Superman, but Charlie Baker. And my desire to be Mrs. Charlie Baker and make a baker's dozen and work with Steve Martin and all of the people alive from that movie, toasted. But that's what I was trying to seal the deal on. My only goal was to get Tom into church, get him to study the Bible, pray, right? Find himself as Charlie Baker, as the man that was given the perfect father and mother, 12 kids, to constitute what a perfect family of love would be under God. I wanted to make him that man, better, bigger, brighter, so everyone loved what he was doing and who he becomes. Not to turn out the light, which is currently what's happening with the split personality. That thing they got on the wall in the room where Michael sits and does these podcasts alone, where Tom no longer goes. At least he's got the sanity not to sit there across from Michael that way, because a sort of light bulbs turned on there. That figure is not Clark. That is not the animated version of who he should be in the animated series I am going to produce, with or without him playing himself. But I don't need Michael Rosenbaum. I can hire all the Canadians I want. I can hire Europeans. But I don't need any of the original cast. He can still try and fight for his right and fix his image and rescue his life. But that's the whole point of restoration, repentance, right? Seeking Christ. But the point is, if he had been given the mystery box last year and my daughter's teen tour band, going to France and being at Normandy's 80th, where Tom Hanks was while they were performing for the royal family, then the way the movie was meant to be played out with the Bakers would have been perfect. And all the video footage and the camera stuff that I was doing when I was in Toronto, when they were also in a contest for high school bands across Canada, where they came in second place and won silver. So that's two busy activities of very big things my daughter was in. I could have FaceTimed with all of the actors that were in the family, and we could have got some live shots going around Tom Hanks being in Normandy, trying to find me and trying to find You've Got Mail Too, and the writer of the poetry books that Fox Books cannot finish selling all of the series to if he can't get his hands on all the copies of the self-published books. He can't get the writer to New York to do poetry readings at his stores. And I can't get Tom and me to go on another Only Murders in the Building in New York with Martin Short, who's Canadian, and Steve Martin. If I can't get Tom away from the podcast where they're now doing season 6 of talking about all the sex they've never had and how great of a time they've had making all of these episodes and rewatching the episodes, and all of the time they haven't been getting any action in the sheets. Right? Like, stop. End of podcast. Get up. Come over here. Read the movie that is available, and let's get to work, and let's move on with our lives and our careers and move towards what we're supposed to be doing. So because of that, I want to read poetry. I want to read the poetry from these books, different pieces, because it talks about while they were doing all that nothing, and while Al Gore was directing and producing all that stuff, observing this stuff, knowing something's not right, and Kevin Costner, same thing. I was doing stuff. I was writing stuff and living my own life. And we're going to hear me read about what I was doing in the same time as all of that stuff was happening over there in their lives. Because no matter what Michael did, he couldn't manipulate the situation with me. I would have, not for money and not for free, have ever been coerced into an intimate situation with him to get closer to Tom, to get him to read my work in order to get us to work together. Loopy. Michael's not going to get to have a relationship with the same girl between him and Tom. They're not going to become brothers by having children together to make them brothers so he can sink his teeth in and be in his life forever. be blood related or think like they're brothers or best friends. It's not like that. But Tom is a very nice guy, very polite, very well mannered, and does his best to try to work with people. He just kind of grew up, got used to Michael. But if the honesty were to come out of this situation finally, he would totally lay it on the line that if he knew that Michael had given me the bird with two middle fingers when I had posted one picture of me on a day where I looked pretty and felt pretty in a time where I was having major issues with my health and my weight, where I was going for the first gastric bypass procedure, that Tom would probably have, lost it on him because it was a pretty picture. And the words pretty doesn't denote any reason to denounce or insult or hurt somebody for being pretty. If your only issue for treating somebody that way is simply because that girl is somebody with too high of standards who would never give you the time of day or have anything to do with you, that's not wrong of her. That's not her fault. When I watched the video of Michael talking about his neck, where he was actually in the hospital going for a procedure on his neck, and he insulted the nurse, asking her what her birthday is, how old she's turning, and you could tell she was young, way younger than him, probably younger than me. And his reaction about, being 50, blah, 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 or old or whatever. And she was just taken aback, shocked that he would have the nerve to talk like that to her, somebody he doesn't know, innocent. So what I want to do to get back at Michael and this whole let's not have sex, but talk about sex and all the acting we've done and all the intimate things we've done, chains and woohoo and threesomes and all the stuff that's happened with shower scenes and things. I'm going to read my poetry because that's the way I can get the revenge, because of the fact that should make them physically uncomfortable, because it's good. And they should have been able to read it a long time ago. So everybody could have got up from their episodes of the podcast and figured out what to go off and do, and not see each other again until that's been dealt with. So we're going to start with Happy New Year. I'm going to start polite, nicely. Happy New Year. I wrote this here in BC. I wrote this inspired by a bench I was on in Surrey Central Station during New Year's when I was out in it. I was my active years. Completely lost. At the time, I don't even think I knew the show was being shot here in Burnaby. It's ironic that if Tom had found me out here on the streets running around like this, he could probably throw me up over his shoulders and I'd be kicking like a girl. Whoop me down. What is not funny, but funny? Happy New Year. Midnight in the new year, two sets of lips kissing in the night. The sound of them smacking ever so light. Courting each other so slow. Time to let the other know what's right about being together, as they lay in the warmth of the love shared between each other, and they inquire with the delicate touch of their fingers, based on where they land, what's in the future of their love's plans. With a gentle push of one button, off goes the television. Now, obviously, I was lying on a bench on New Year's Eve. I was nowhere near any ability to do that. But that was much better than rewatching this TV show while for 5 years the movie script in first draft has been ready to get produced. We could have both halves read, and I will not let anybody read the second half. I won't even sit and read and proofread and edit the second half until there's enough money in my bank and enough safety and protection for my child, her future, my life, with all of the crime and the danger that's going on here, especially around the politics. Forget it. Not until there's been a great enough apology in the situation made. What I will not do is make episodes of this stuff talking about Michael. What I have mentioned here is pretty much it. I've laid it all out on the line. Any TV show about him doing stuff about that lady that was kidnapping people, holding them hostage in her basement, some of which died, most of which were found in the basement and then rescued. And then she was cashing checks using her son to do that. That's already been done. It's been told. The movie's been made. About one of them being allowed to roam around the house a little bit, never actually escaping, And then they came, investigated, and then they left. And it took even longer still before they came and sort of figured it all out and stopped the whole thing. And that's pretty much the end of the story. But over here, I have way more stuff to talk about when it comes to the crime of Canada. Whatever my mom called him, hang on a second. She nicknamed it, she coined it Justin Terror. And it didn't start there. It started in his father's era, who was in office twice as well, and the deals his father was making in the background, and the countries he was making them with, and what he was doing in order to get into office. So I'm going to work on all of that stuff around the serial killers in Canada, because America needs to know. This is not about what we need to know about America. This is about what America needs to know about us. This is about what Europe needs to know about us. Hey, you all looking at this backwards. You need to be watching our TV, listening to what we have to say, what we have to tell you, what we have to teach you. It's very important you know the difference. Right? Whereas we're not as safe or as lucky. It is not as kind or as easy as everybody thinks. And I actually think that Tom, if he didn't know whether that spider was real or not, that I showed everybody. Here, I'll show you before I read more poems. Whether it's real or not. Well, I showed you guys already, but he would just put on the suit and going, I don't do spiders. And since there's a slaughter going on over there that's so bad like that, I'm not farting around with that. We're getting out of here. Oh, forget it. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next poem. I'll do another episode where you will see all that spider stuff anyway, because I have to figure out whether it's going to be Tobey Maguire or Tom Holland that gets into the picture of dealing with this, with Happy and Donald Trump and Elon Musk all looking at it and nobody knowing what to think about what they're looking at. So we're going to go on to Burning Down the Highway. This was sort of inspired by a Cyndi Lauper song and the fact that I am sick and tired of going back and forth across Canada. In fact, I've gone up and down to different highways. I've been all over the place. I know this transit, right? I am the transit queen. So this is, I guess, a fantasy of wishing I could burn down a new highway. The burning down the highway. The pain of living every night without you. These feelings so alive leave me at a loss as to what I can do. So my tires burn down the highway, driving the same miles every day, not knowing how to get by with the way thinking of you makes me feel. I can't even touch myself. My body aches to give itself to you and let you take me to the other side of a lover's world when I don't know outside of these words, but eagerly anticipate. Finding you as I walk down a street one day, there you are, all that man standing before me. Going nowhere, and without a word, you reach out and grab onto what you know is yours, knowing nothing I have is locked away from you. And I can't do anything but give in to your heart's demand. Your hands hold, your arms surround me. It's unstoppable. What do you do? What you do to my blood? My temperature rises, and I'm lost in that moment of finally seeing you after months of dreaming and days of wandering the city streets. Hurting so bad to find you to try and rewrite that tragedy that lives in every naked moment I spend alone and every footstep I take without you keeping time there by my side. The feeling of your long legs not next to me burdens my heart as my ears miss the sound of your voice, rambling words for hours that only make sense to me. I bear a sadness which cannot be described, so I scratch at my skin as I cry over where no man has ever been. And all I can do is wait with the undaunted passion that someday the one that I need will finally be there to fix what is missing from inside me. So I remember I was inspired by this one. I was in Calgary, Alberta, working security for a company there, walking down a certain street downtown, and the lights were just set off at a certain time in a certain way, and it inspired me to do this poem there. It was about somebody where I had hoped there could have been something. So it was the almost relationship that didn't happen. Getting older like this, with us separated all these years, essentially since I was in my 20s, older than him, it sort of felt like this poem here. It's called "A Flower." Never allowed to bloom, sitting in the darkness of a room with a picture, a lampstand, and a blanket on the moon. Okay, I'm going to go with this one, and then that'll be it for today from just the book that was supposed to be on season 8 of the show. Can you? Sorry, I don't know what I just breathed in. There's something bugging my nose. Okay. Okay. Can you? Can you make love to me? Can you touch me right? Make me feel sweet? With the touch of your hands, can you make me feel warm with comfort? Lying next to you under the sheets, where our naked bodies meet, right down to the feet. Can you make my skin feel what it needs to, shivering from your love as you enter and fill me up inside? Can you give my body all that it desires a whole night through? Can you love me in such a way that makes up for all the years spent living without you? Can you give it to me gently? Can you give it to me strong? Your every move knowing where not to go wrong? Do you know how to hold on? Do you know how to make me breathe, feel at ease as we lay together? Can you win in making my heart race? My eyes dance at just a glance of looking at you. Time well spent with a man who knows what to do. Can you satisfy my woman? Yes. Put me in my place. Make me feel alive. Every moment I'm lying by your side. Can you make me feel just right? In every way beneath the darkened skies, quenching the fire of our desires. Your body washing over me, filling me with every need, never wanting this to end. Loving you back every moment we spend together this way. What more could I ask for? What more could I need? Cannot go wrong as long as it's you I'm lying next to. Your arms holding on in my head, finally able to rest, laying itself upon your chest, feeling the love of your heart move in its every beat, overwhelmed with happiness I never imagined could ever be possible, and knowing that all your heart's love is mine, paradise arriving just on time. As you kneel before me on bended knee in finding my way to you, as my kiss back says yes to you. So can you, baby? Can you make love to me? Oh, okay, maybe I'll keep going. I want to get off the computer and go swimming. I want to go do laps. I have to work tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. But I can't help it. This book is long overdue for being read at the Talon on Smallville, in the reunion in You've Got Mail Too, and at the Talon in New York, which happened to really exist at one point. Because of COVID, I don't know if it's still there. I haven't looked it up. Okay, so for all the years of all the stuff you haven't talked about me, and the fact that I've been here and everybody has known about me, I'm going to talk about this without you. And hopefully it brings you here and to salvation, and we can move forward correctly. Doing this stuff together, you finding stuff that you want me to read to you or read together and make me feel uncomfortable and get me acting, right? Let's see who can direct who. Flesh. The flesh so sinful and sticky. Your skin tastes so sweet. Lying next to your body's heat, naked beneath the light. Smiling at each other and taking pleasure in the beauty that we see. I run my fingers slowly down the middle of your chest. I softly play as my lips move towards kissing something so alive. Your skin so clean, not a wrinkle in the way as I play, and wish this day would never end. To be in the arms of someone who knows how to make me feel so healthy and well, like I'm wanted to by you, a dream come true. Nothing more to do but lay with you for a day or two, floating in all this passion, feeling like we're in heaven, happy to have found someone with which to share all the sensation that lives there. To know you're not alone. I wipe away the sweat from across your brow and laugh over what I do to you to bring you along in my loving charms. A night of love that can't go wrong. Endless amounts of beautiful kisses, passionate and true, deep with you. Your energy combined with mine, nothing more fine, as I fight to stay awake and look into your brown eyes deeper, never going away, for love is here to stay. So there's pretty good stuff here. I've read that one. Place and time. Dancing in the world, divorcing all the signs, understanding what is wrong. With this place and time, nothing left to be said except to silence the voice in my head as I climb under the covers into bed again without you. Where I stand, I play with your feet as mine shuffle through the sand. I feel the earth and its heat beneath the place where I stand. Hold on to the things that give pleasure in a world where so much understanding remains unseen. Find joy in the simple things. The memories last, and we can take them with us wherever we go. A permanent hold on the glory to unfold. It's good when you found what you were looking for and the happiness that comes from it. Like earning your right to a place in heaven, your heart feels the warmth of the good times life provides. I take the inspiration of who I think you are to me, and I run with it to the place where life and fantasy collide. It keeps living from being so hard to do. As you move through the things in life that you cannot change, what makes us sane. As I take today and find pleasure in the weather and play with your feet in the sand where I stand. That was an imaginary. He wasn't really there. There was no he. It was here in BC. It was English Bay. It was at the ocean. These are my 30s, during my active years. Okay, here we goes, another one. Then whose? If it's not his touches that belong to me, if it's not his touches that can fix what I need to feel, then whose is it? As I lie here tonight trying to take back what's mine, as I see there are not many options in the sea of immorality that lives out there, where am I supposed to turn to find a gentle hand, a man whose mind does not destroy what I want, to enjoy in the same pleasures, recognizing all the treasures? How will I be saved from going out of my mind for keeping in all these years the standards of my virtues? I understand the fight has to come. What I see is real, but does my body have to pay the price this way? Not one night do I get an answer to what it needs. If it's not his hands that can fix it, then whose? So this was essentially between two different guys at this point in my life, and not the guy I divorced. Nothing about him I wrote was ever good. It was the bad stuff on the way out of the relationship. Here's one of the guys. Never forget. I have to say, remember, things start off being written about one person, inspired by one thing, and then it becomes about somebody else. So that's what makes songs and poetry special. Never forget. 3 nights to remember. 3 nights to forget. 3 nights to remember lived without any regret. As the memories pass through over the tears I've shed for you, and how much more I would have liked there to be a better memory of that history. 3 nights to remember, 3 nights to forget. 3 nights to remember lived without any regret. Kiss. Kiss me gentle. Kiss me kind. Hold my hand and ease my mind. What it's like to be separated from your children, and you try so hard to get custody back, but because you're not married and don't have a house, lots of money, whatever, the system bucks you, right? Treats you wrong. This is the only one I'm going to read that's out of context with the love stuff. I see a child in the street. I see the smile that lives there, her sunny yellow hair, a playful item in the cart. It's a beautiful thing to see a child so smart, a future so full of potential, unlimited life that lives there, the happiness of the child's disposition with the love of two parents that listen, a blessing and privilege her own, a family, a home, not having to starve from what she is missing. Her cup will one day be full. She'll be a star that shines around others, that her results will benefit well from. For the helpful person she becomes, proudly loved by someone who holds her hand really well, never break the spell. All things turn out well. As the cart turns the corner, my smile disappears. I miss my daughter. I wish my daughter was here. Back to the other stuff. I only ate once today. So this is the girl thing. 5 hot girls in a room. This is actually here at Olympic Stadium. This is actually the SkyTrain station that inspired it. 5 hot girls in a room. The stench of their perfume, kissing words to each other over which one's prettier. It's all about the sin, the clothes they're in. Their smooth, naked, tanned skin, makeup and long brown hair. I resist the inclination. The poisonous venom running through my veins. Nothing to describe what runs through my body. How it courses through me. Such a shame. I leave them there as I step off the platform and onto the SkyTrain at the stadium. They know not of my sexual point of view, a dangerous display as I think of what I do to teach them all some manners. In this war of who's got higher perverted standards, I only ate once today. I think we're almost there. Endless sea of thoughts, endless mountains of words. The deeper you swim, the higher you climb, the more you'll gain, the more you'll win. On your road of life, the more you'll be able to give. For the finished products of your yearnings will be the truth that sets you free. Embracing. I think of all the nights that my body hurt for you as I laid naked in bed with my hands against the wall, confused and afraid over what feelings I've needed embracing were shouting out of me, needing you to take place with, wishing you had been feeling the way I needed you to. Living together, I thought was the plan, but you never came after me, which left me dazed and confused because of words spit from your head that I believed when I heard them. I cannot count the days I spent craving your touches against my skin, the company needed. And knowing how well we'd get along to feel the warmth of your breath blowing up against my neck as your arms hold me and let me know that you're never letting me go, your life a part of mine, today, tomorrow, and all the years ahead untried. Together in this world, building our own private paradise. But instead, the years have passed, and the aches that lived dead in my groans now awaken at times to remind me of the visit that has yet to take place with anyone, a place that we will both always know was born for you. So I think of all the nights that my body hurt for you, as I laid naked in bed with my hands against the wall. Kissing lips, the feeling of the touch of your bottom kissing lips, the chapstick needed in all that forever feeling, finding the truth of the sound the moment it is shared. That is something I think of when I think of Clark. Thunder, which is what the name of the next one is. Thunder, the sound of your heartbeat, as strong as thunder. With a lightning flash, my ear doesn't need to lay against your chest for me to hear the strength you bear and who you are, Clark. It lives in me. For all the time I lost never being able to explore your freckles, to stare into that bored look in your eyes, consumed by how much I care. How brave we've both been in the times we've lived, every moment we've been kept apart. For all the fun dancing in the street could have been with you, I found upon my futures down for wanting you to travel around the world with. Morning dew. A drop of morning dew tastes like honey, is what I knew it should have been with you from just that gentle, smooth, soft, subtle, shared in that untested kiss. never finished with you. Just like it goes in the dunk tank scene in the Smallville reunion movie. Okay, so I'm going to talk about when I was 9 in a particular situation when I was hanging upside down from the monkey bars. And then we're almost done. Masturbation. Hanging from the monkey bars, dangling upside down, my legs strongly crossed, trying to understand how to separate from sin and the great big world that I was living in, frowning over what there is so much of everywhere. Can't find shelter from the storm, a roof under which to feel safe and no inner peace, to practice what I write. The message made so clear. Masturbation, any time of the year? Just another wicked form of adding to our emotional confusion. Absolution, only for those persons of perfection. Through the Bible's teachings and the Christian preaching, help from the Scripture's word and the Holy Spirit giving strength to us in this life to guide us in the areas where we are weakest, to fight the fever until the time when love is there, properly established, marriage. When I was still that girl living in a different place and time, hanging from the monkey bars back when I was only 9. When I unfolded true salvation in avoiding masturbation, I would have fallen from the monkey bars. So I had a lot of early abuse happening during the eras in which Justin Trudeau's father was in office, and there's no getting around it, so I'm just going to read it. It led to the world I ended up in. It led to, self-harm and stuff. So this one's called The Early Years. Because by the time I was 12, that girl in the bus shack was not the girl that Charlie Baker would have thought. Those words where Tom, Charlie, Clark would all be repeating over and over and over again. You mean to tell me you weren't a virgin? And he said it someplace stupid, like at Costco. And I'm like, do you realize where you just said that out loud? Yeah, can we not just get home first before we talk about that kind of thing, right? So this is called The Early Years. 12 years old, sitting on the tracks. Because I grew up around tracks, train tracks. That's just thing. It's like it puts me to sleep. Cutting arms open with contaminated broken beer bottle glass. Just picked it up off the ground. 12 years old, sitting on the tracks, skipping out of school, knowing they're going to flunk your ass. 12 years old, smoking lots of dope, already thinking there isn't any hope. Well, is there? Lost in a world that's too busy trying to save face. Instead of looking after you, they just pretend they know what to do. Teachers. Meanwhile, you've already given up on trying to find a place for yourself in this world. 12 years old, sitting on the tracks, writing a death note, cutting your arms open, thinking about how nice it would be to end it all like that. 12 years old, sitting on the tracks. Something wrong with that? Which, of course, there is. Right? That nobody knows how to help. Nobody tries. There's another one called Silence. This has to do with that. This has to do with a girl who was a year older than me. And my problem was always that I always remained in silence, because when you're that young, you don't know what to do. And when you see the people around you showing that abuse is normalized and they do nothing about it, you're like, well, there's no reason to say anything because nobody's going to do anything. And so this is where you get conflicted with choice, what to do. You're trying to have fun. You want to grow up to meet the right guy and have the right life. So this one's called Silence, Girls Rape 2, in parentheses. I didn't know whether to feel like a girl or a boy as she touched me like I was some kind of joy. Her masturbating like I was a willing participant, making me touch myself where she wanted to see my hands go. My body was stiff as her cruel satisfaction burned in me, strange sensations visiting my swollen wound, causing chaos in my 12-year-old mind. Never again would I be fine. Scared of her lips. Please stay away. Her breasts clouding my view of the door I wished to escape through. A guilty confusion passing through me, scarring my emotions. On where to stand, her rape on me had a permanent hand. My life with relationships no longer made sense. Battling back against what that's meant for years. I don't know how to feel like other women. Raped of that right to find my natural choice. All I have are these words to act as my voice as I try to find a way to love myself through the challenges that lay before me, to make sense of it all. In the end, my body back as my friend, and the peace of mind that will bring when a new love's kiss is happening. and I'll finally know whose hand to hold. But it's pretty hard to trust either a man or a woman when you're being abused by both, right? It's bad. Um, I'm going to end on this piece for a reason, because this is about Let's Talk About Tom. So this piece here is called 10 Years. It's about my divorce. So it goes like this. I got divorced when Tom got married. And so somewhere in there, the Two by the Dozen TV shows were done. And I guess some of the Judging Amy episodes had been done. Was a big fan of, and for some reason I just missed the episodes he was in until after the show, and then I went and caught up on it. I'm not sure, but I think I got to see all of them, and I loved it. It would have been great to see him go further on there, and if they could have reconnected and brought him back and had her and me as tit for tat kind of friends, always competing with intelligence and education and what we do around Tyne Daly, whom I love, and have always followed in her career, Cagney and Lacey. It would have been great. So this happened. So because I saw that stuff and I had a career and a vision and a dream to reach Charlie Baker, Steve Martin, and get him to church, get him baptized, get him to read the Bible and turn the switch on where he can quote scripture and say things brilliant and have some conversation with me and stuff and just be this sunshine. And Steve Martin be happy and everything is good. Instead, he got married to Jamie White, whom I thought was fine and like, okay, stay with her forever until we meet and work together. And that didn't happen. And so what happened is when he got divorced, I had my second child and I had been trying to campaign for help to get him to open adoption with her so we could share the responsibility, because I had lost the first one. Some of it my fault, some of it the system's fault. It's a bad country. Women have no rights. Children have no rights, and the disappearances and the crimes are out of control, which is what I'm working on in the series. And I didn't get it on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I wasn't famous enough yet. So he never went on the show because he never got to meet the baby that he would have adopted. So unbeknownst to me, that's what happened. he got divorced. Because I guess he would have adopted Sarah. My heart knows it. When they laid her next to me, the first thing I saw when I looked at this beautiful child that smiling back at me, and they say babies don't smile when they're born, newborns don't know joy. Oh my goodness, that's so not true. But when I look down at this baby smiling back up at me, hey, you're my mom. Yeah, that's good. God, I can live with this. I like this lady. All I saw was Tom Willing, because he could give her the life I could not. And she's still not getting the life she should have, but she's done really well to try and step into my shoes. God's done really well to bring her up to where she is and the things she's experienced. And so hopefully this will get all worked out soon. So I'm going to end it with 10 years about what it's like to be in a bad relationship and finally get out. 10 years. For 10 years, I lied next to that man. For 10 years, I believed his lines. For 10 years, I was locked away inside. I couldn't be me. For 10 years, he touched me and told me of his love without any show of support. I couldn't live romantically. What's that? Sometimes I would lie there numb and hope that he would notice, but he never did. He just went till he was done, leaving me there to feel like death. I want to know what it's like to enjoy what I feel instead of all the filth that dominated my sexual world. There was a whole other side to me that I was never free to be. Shut down at every effort made to communicate, the anger never ended. I always felt suspended when the darkness lived inside. Still, he never realized. Through the tears I cried and the pleas to make him stop, I was living in a minefield, never knowing when he'd go off. Even when I thought out what I wanted to say, he could find a way to cause a war that could not be escaped. It took 10 years to stand up for who I wanted to be. For 10 years, I lied next to him, crying for help. Then I realized you first have to get out. Now I'm reconditioning the damage that was done. I'm learning to smile once in a while. I walked barefoot through the grass, reminding me of how good life feels. as I learned to live again. For 10 years, a future of my own was never in my sight. Now it's never-ending opportunities that are laid out before me. As I move along, growing strong in the light, everyone deserves a good life. That was in Edmonton. I'm walking through the grass in my bare feet with shoes. I was truck driving, had my class 1 license, got it in Manitoba, where I got divorced. And I'm going to say it's very important for people to understand, if you're going to leave a relationship, to get divorced, right? To get your freedom. If you don't get divorced, then there's something you're not letting go of. And then there's something wrong in that crutch. And you can't fall in love and give yourself again and try again and get it right. God can't bless you and give you another opportunity if you don't let that go and move on. I did that. I got divorced right away. So my divorce was like within a year. I was given custody of my child. And then I wanted to move to BC, and everybody freaked out because why would you want to leave Winnipeg? Well, how about I wasn't born there? Not from there. And I have careers, dreams, aspirations as a writer, and I don't want to be anywhere near any of my childhood abuse. All the people that are still living, breathing, walking, who have never been arrested, no charges laid, never turned themselves in from their own guilty conscience. It's criminally insane. Why would I stay? Why would people think I should? What's wrong with having these dreams and aspirations? Nothing. But that's the problem with Canada. That is why I'm doing all of this. Because if people have these dreams and aspirations, don't give up. You can do it. Vancouver has tons of opportunities of places that are cheap or free. And that's the whole goal of doing this stuff at the Inspiration Labs. Get as much of it done as cost efficiently as possible and get support from the library to get people who want to be a part of this to be a part of it. So if you see this stuff, contact me if you want to be a part of it. Send your headshots, send your resumes, send your portfolio. Talk about what school you're in, what program you're taking, what areas of interest in the entertainment you are in, and I can see where you can fit within the projects of what we're working on. So I wanted to end it with the fact that that little girl that was 12 years old on the tracks was flunked out of grade 7. The last legal grade she passed was 6. And that somehow I still grew up to be this English major anyway. And that's ultimately what led to the dream with Clark in the Smallville movie, which is how my life ended up tying to, okay, maybe Superman. Where Tom would agree to have taken me to high school I went to for 5 months in grade 10. It was the longest time I got to be in high school where there was any stability long enough for me to get to high school, do some homework, get good grades. I had an 85.5 average. And that was the best since that grade 7 stuff when the nightmare started when I was 12 and 13 and nobody was going to do anything. So I thought maybe if we did this high school reunion thing with Clark, that I could convince Tom to do the real thing at the Glenlawn Collegiate, where maybe I could earn an honorary grade 12 diploma because of how much writing I've actually done, far beyond what's in these 2 binders, which are 5 manuscripts in my lifetime. And the intern I'm still looking for, who's got to do all the work to organize the stuff as I work towards finishing other movies. I have a dream of finishing my Charlie Brown special. I wanted to finish it over this Christmas while taking a break in my apartment in Gatineau to get away from the city life over here and everything. But I didn't get out of here because what I wanted to do in the summertime over the Charlie Baker and the mystery box didn't work. So I don't want to get it wrong this year. I have lots of answers and ways of helping people. So send your headshot, send your resume, subscribe, follow, share with everybody else. Go to the website, futureproductions.online.com. Make your orders for pictures, books, products, autographs, requests. And I will send the link to my eBay list of all the stuff that's there, the first package available, which I was trying to get Tom to buy. But anybody's welcome to make a bid on that. because it's a really important original package of stuff that nobody's going to get the chance to buy for the first time ever again. So that's pretty a good investment of what's going to come. So that's it. I'm done. I'm not sure I'm going to make it to swimming now, but at least I got this confession done. For this, let's talk about Tom Welling and never having to talk about Michael Rosenbaum and what's going on with the podcast and the two of them. Again, Michael can take himself to church and deal with his own life with God, but don't use Tom anymore. It's over, and don't ask me to be involved because I ain't going to sit there and do an episode of any of your podcasts with you, Michael. I'm too smart for that. The answer was no in the 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, when Tom didn't have the Facebook and Instagram and you were mad at me, and it's still no. And as for John, let's finish A Father's Daughter and get on the Kazinsight stage or whatever, and let's just do something new. So peace out from Vancouver City, here in BC. Superwoman signing off from Now TV Canada.